Long ago, there were two brothers who cleared wilderness into farmland and built a shared household from nothing. In the beginning, they lived in harmony, loving each other like hand and foot. They rose before dawn to split the same chores, ate from the same pot, and laughed at the same small fortunes. A season of gentle rain, a calf born strong, a roof repaired before the storms arrived. Their bond was not something they discussed. It was something they inhabited. Like two streams feeding one river, their lives flowed together without needing to prove it. But as wealth accumulated, desire slipped in. And desire rarely arrives wearing a villain's face. It often arrives dressed as fairness, as prudence, as common sense. Quarrels began over what was mine and what was yours, until, at last, they turned their backs and could no longer meet each other's eyes. At first it was a boundary line in the soil. Then it became a boundary line in the heart. The land could still be measured, but the distance between them could not. Their aging father could only sigh. Dividing property is easy. Once kinship breaks, it is hard to mend. There is a quiet cruelty in that truth. A field can be cut into two and still remain a field. But a relationship cut into two does not remain a relationship. It becomes two silences facing away from each other. When blood ties collapse under dispute, what remains is usually not victory, only regret. And regret, when it comes, is often late. It comes at the edge of nights when the house is quiet and the mind becomes loud. It comes when someone sets an extra bowl on the table by habit, then realizes the chair across from them has been empty for years. It comes at funerals, when people finally say soft words, but only because there is no longer anyone left to argue back. This is why the old teachings do not merely warn us against anger. They point us toward release. Not because letting go makes us weak, but because clinging to resentment binds our own heart first. Resentment is like gripping a thorn in your fist while insisting you are holding a weapon. You may believe it protects your dignity, but the first blood it draws is your own. A mother in a village once raised two children from infancy. She watched them learn to walk, watched them share fruit in summer, watched them shiver together in winter under the same blanket. When they grew up, a misunderstanding drove them apart. She did not scold them. Some pains cannot be cured by louder pain. She only said, blood relations are a bond from past karmic causes. But hatred can dissolve that bond. Only then did they realize family love is precious and fragile, and blame does not heal it. It only deepens the crack. There is a kind of wisdom that comes not from cleverness, but from having watched life long enough to see patterns repeat. The mother understood that hatred is not simply an emotion, it is a habit. It is a story we tell ourselves again and again until we forget there are other stories available. And every time we repeat it, we rehearse the role of the wounded one, the wronged one, the righteous one, until righteousness becomes more important than reunion. History carries similar echoes. A talented general, after success, was betrayed by his own relatives. He did not retaliate or nurse a grudge. He simply said, each person bears their own karma. Cause and effect does not miss its mark. That sentence is not a magic spell. It does not erase what happened, but it draws a boundary inside the soul. I will not let your wrongdoing become my personality. Because he refused to be dragged into bitterness, he kept his dignity to the end. From such stories, people learn a difficult truth. Some losses in kinship cannot be fixed by force. Not every bridge can be rebuilt. Sometimes the river has already changed its course, but we can choose how to face what cannot be fixed. Without poisoning ourselves with hatred and letting time and consequence arrange what our anger never could. Look around today, and you will see how often families fracture over small things. Siblings contesting a strip of land, sisters refusing to speak because of a few careless words. After all the fighting, no one becomes happier, only more exhausted, more isolated. The tragedy is not only the rupture itself, but how easily it happens. We are gentle with strangers and harsh with those who love us. We choose patience in public and impatience at home. We treat family as if they will always be there to absorb our sharpness, until one day they are not. The one who understands the way often steps back. Not out of cowardice, but out of reverence for peace. To keep a heart free of resentment is to keep blessings for oneself and one's descendants. The elders used to say, the more grudges you hoard, the thinner your fortune becomes. Release resentment, and blessings find their way back. Whether you hear that as spiritual law or simple psychology, the meaning is the same. Bitterness is expensive. It costs you sleep. It costs you gentleness. It costs you the ability to be present. So when family bonds begin to splinter, what can a person do? First, guard your inner stillness. Deep water is quiet. A quiet mind becomes clear. In the storm of conflict, the most urgent task is not to win an argument, but to keep your spirit from being swept away. Stillness is not avoidance, it is strength. When we pause, we stop feeding the fire. When we stop feeding the fire, it can finally die down. Stillness is the beginning of wisdom, because it interrupts the reflex to strike back. The heart that can pause is the heart that can choose, and choice is the doorway to freedom. A person who can remain calm in the face of provocation is not suppressing life. They are refusing to let life be hijacked. They are saying, I will not lend my tongue to my anger, nor my mind to my pride. Second, don't rush to prove right and wrong. In intimate bonds, victory is often a disguised loss. The more fiercely we argue, the more affection is worn away. Harmony gives rise to good fortune. Contentious energy invites calamity. Often, what shatters families is not the original issue, but the ego that insists, I must be right. The ego is clever. It can turn love into a battlefield and call it principle. It can turn humility into humiliation and call it weakness. Yet if you look closely, the ego is always afraid. It is afraid of being overlooked, of being disrespected, of being unimportant. Many arguments are simply fear wearing armor. And when fear wears armor, even a gentle touch can feel like an attack. Third, leave a pocket of silence in your speech. Words, once released, cannot be retrieved. A single sentence spoken in heat can become a wound that never fully closes. Silence at the right moment is not surrender. It is protection of the relationship and of your own future self who will otherwise carry remorse. Silence is not emptiness. It is a container. It holds the moment long enough for the poison to settle at the bottom, so the water above can become clear again. In that stillness, you can ask yourself, is what I am about to say true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? And if it is not kind, is it at least gentle enough to not destroy what I still hope to preserve? Fourth, do not let the ego grow larger than kinship. The ego can win a debate, but the relationship may lose an entire lifetime. Many people discover too late that their greatest battles were fought over things that did not matter, while the people who mattered slipped quietly away. In the end, time is the strictest teacher. It asks only one question. When the person is gone, what will you wish you had said? And what will you wish you had never said? The answer is rarely, I wish I had one more. More often it is, I wish I had been softer. I wish I had listened. I wish I had not tried to be victorious when all I truly wanted was to be loved. Fifth, in conflict, protect your mouth karma, the harm we create through speech. Misfortune often enters through the tongue. If you can hold your words for 1 minute, you may save yourself from years of estrangement. 1 minute of restraint can be worth more than 1,000 explanations, because explanations, when offered in heat, become accusations in the other person's ears. But restraint, even when misunderstood, preserves a dignity that time can later clarify. A sharp sentence may feel satisfying for a moment, like striking flint to spark fire, but the fire can burn down the house. A restrained silence may feel unsatisfying, like swallowing smoke, yet it prevents the blaze. In family life, prevention is often a form of love. Sixth, don't confuse total silence with wisdom. Silence can cool anger, but absolute silence can become a wall. When the rupture is fresh, keep your speech gentle and minimal, but plant a small seed of goodwill. A simple check-in, a brief message, a quiet act of care. Even if the other person does not respond, the goodwill still cleanses your own heart. A candle does not lose anything by lighting a corner of the dark. A seed does not demand that the soil applaud. It simply grows when conditions allow. Goodwill is like that. It is not a bargain. It is a posture of the soul. Sometimes the only thing you can do is to remain decent and let decency be your prayer. Even if the relationship does not return, you will have preserved your own integrity. You will not have become smaller in the attempt to be right. Seventh, don't dig up old mistakes. Reopening old wounds does not bring relief. It drains trust. Some people treat the past like a weapon, pulling it out whenever a new conflict arises. But what grows from that is not resolution. It is hopelessness. If you want peace, you must learn to let certain chapters stay closed. Forgiveness is not amnesia. It is the decision to stop using memory as a knife. It is the wisdom to say, yes, that happened. Yes, it hurt. But I will not keep reopening it to bleed again. Some pain must be acknowledged so it can be healed. But pain, endlessly rehearsed, becomes a shrine, and we begin worshipping our own suffering. Eighth, practice empathy. Don't do to others what you would hate to receive. Do for others what you hope they would do for you. Many family disputes persist because each person looks only through their own eyes. The moment you truly ask, if I were them, what would I feel? Anger often softens into understanding. Empathy does not erase responsibility. It simply removes the blindness that turns conflict into fate. It allows you to see the human being beneath the offense. And when you see the human being, your heart changes tone. You may still set boundaries. You may still refuse harm. But you will not need hatred to do it. Ninth, be careful about bringing outsiders into family pain. Complaining to the wrong audience can turn a small fracture into public humiliation, and humiliation breeds afterwards lasting hostility. Some matters heal best in quiet, where dignity is preserved and hearts have room to soften. There is a difference between seeking wisdom and spreading fire. Choose your confidants as you would choose medicine. Carefully, sparingly, with respect for what is fragile. When you hand your family's wounds to people who cannot hold them with care, you may gain sympathy, but you often lose the possibility of repair. 10th, stop counting every small debt. The more you measure and compare, the harder reunion becomes. People obsess over perfect fairness, yet forget that a home is not a courtroom. A family thrives on generosity of spirit, not on endless accounting. Like water, love must flow. When it is dammed by petty calculations, it turns stale. Fairness is important in practical matters, yes. But the obsession with fairness can become a disguise for resentment. It can become the habit of keeping a ledger when what is needed is a hand. Many families do not break because the division was unequal. They break because the division was done without tenderness. A person can endure receiving less if they still feel loved. But a person can receive much and still feel empty if love has vanished. And finally, don't wait until loss makes you wise. Many people postpone reconciliation thinking there will be another day, another chance, another conversation. But life is uncertain. Water that has spilled cannot be gathered back into the cup. When a loved one is gone, even the most sincere apology becomes a monologue offered to the empty air. This is one of life's most painful truths. We do not get infinite opportunities to soften. A door that could have been opened by one humble sentence sometimes closes because we waited too long to say it. Pride is always willing to wait. Life is not. All of this points to one question. Do we want to be right, or do we want to be free? Holding on to resentment feels, for a moment, like holding on to justice. It gives the ego a sense of order. I am correct. They are wrong. Therefore, I may keep my anger. But over time, it becomes a chain. It tightens. It hardens. It steals sleep. It poisons memory. The wound does not close. it deepens. Resentment is the mind's way of scratching a scar until it bleeds again, then calling the bleeding proof. Letting go does not mean approving what happened. It means refusing to let what happened occupy your heart like a permanent tenant. It means you stop renting out your inner peace to an old argument. Sometimes letting go looks like reconciliation, a conversation, a new beginning, a softened posture. Sometimes it looks like distance, not as punishment, but as clarity, choosing not to stand where you are repeatedly wounded. Either way, the essence is the same. You free yourself from hatred. And yes, often the greatest gift of forgiveness is not what we give to others, but what we give to ourselves. A mind that can breathe again, a heart that has space for peace to live. Forgiveness is the return of your inner territory. It is the quiet decision. I will not let this bitterness define me. If you were standing in the middle of a broken family bond, would you choose release to find calm or cling to grievance to demand repayment? And do you agree that resentment rarely punishes the other person as much as it punishes the one who carries it? Because in the end, resentment does not change the past. It only steals the present. And the present, fragile, fleeting, irreplaceable, is the only place where healing can begin. In the philosophy of the heart, there is a truth that sounds simple but takes a lifetime to learn. We suffer less from what happens and more from what we keep replaying. The mind can turn one hurt into 1,000 by revisiting it daily. And the strange part is this: while we replay the past, we call it not forgetting, as though forgetting were the only alternative. But there is a third way: remembering without burning. To remember without burning is to say, I will carry the lesson, but I will not carry the fire. I will not keep my soul hostage to a chapter that has already ended. This is not denial. This is maturity. It is the ability to hold pain in open hands rather than clenched fists. And when it comes to family, this matters even more. Because family is where our oldest hopes live. The hope of being seen without explanation. The hope of being loved even when we are imperfect. The hope of having a place that feels like home. When family bonds crack, the pain is not only about the conflict, it is about the collapse of a sanctuary. That is why the anger feels so intense. It is grief wearing armor. If we can see that, we become gentler with ourselves and with others. We realize many harsh words are not truly hatred, but fear. Fear of losing face, fear of being powerless, fear of being unloved. And behind many stubborn silences is not strength, but longing. Longing for someone to come closer without forcing them to beg. So perhaps the deepest practice is this: to keep the heart soft even when the story is hard. Soft does not mean naive. It means human. It means refusing to become cruel just because you were hurt. It means refusing to turn pain into a personality. It means choosing to live with dignity rather than to live with vengeance. One day, each of us will reach the point where life strips away the illusion of endless time. And in that moment, the loudest regrets are rarely about money. They are about doors that were never reopened, words that were never spoken, tenderness that was withheld until it was too late. If you still have time, let that be your teacher now, not later. Send the message, make the call, offer the quiet apology, not necessarily because you were entirely wrong, but because you value peace more than pride. Or if reconciliation is not possible, offer forgiveness in your own heart, not as permission for harm, but as liberation from it. Because the final victory is not winning a dispute. The final victory is being able to lay your head down at night with a clean heart. And if there is one thing the old sages seem to agree on, it is this: the person who releases resentment does not become smaller, they become free.